trust Trump's national security team to keep our war plans top secret?
Do you trust your mother every night to fix your Hot Pockets and make sure your Game Boy is turned on?
Joining me now, the star of that little video, the great congressman from the state of Tennessee, Congressman Tim Burchett. Tim, do they really just assign like a specific person to you people and follow you around? To what end?
I'd like to think they do. I'd like to think I've risen to that level, but as the 435th most powerful member of Congress, I'm not too sure, brother. You know, this guy sees me every day. And, I've seen 2 or 3 times, and he always has some clever thing, like, do you support cutting more programs that Elon Musk and the president are, like, that's going to hurt me in freaking East Tennessee, dude. I mean, gosh almighty. People are like, why aren't you cutting more? And I honestly, I feel sorry for him. The poor guy out there. It kind of reminds me of that scene from It's a Wonderful Life where George and Clarence, the angel, are in the bar, and is like, you got a home, little fella? Have you got anybody to take care of you? I mean, I feel sorry for the guy, but, he's so belligerent. And then and people are like, oh, I can't believe you were so ugly to that guy. But I mean, it's every day, man. He just, it's almost unbearable. And so I had to pop him.
I'm glad you called it sad, because on the very rare moments where I become a good person and have a tender heart, I look at these people and I do think, man, we have some seriously messed up leftists in this country, and so many of them are so young. I mean, that's a young man, if we're going to be generous. That's a young man who should be out going to track down a wife, go to a baseball game, go enjoy your life. Instead, he's tracking down the congressman from East Tennessee to ask him stupid questions for Instagram or something. I don't understand this world anymore, Tim. I feel old.
I've never even seen anything he's on. I was walking with some very liberal members of Congress, some Democrats, and they're like upper Northeast or something. And I was asking them about him, and even they were saying how pitiful that guy is. I just can't imagine that guy's going to go home one day and all these videos are going to appear somewhere, and he's going to brag about to his kids that's his life's work or something. So there it is right there. But poor guy needs to get out in the sunlight a little more.
Okay.
I popped him one time for having white legs. I said something about I need my welding goggles on. They were so white it was burning my eyes. And another time I caught him with he was wearing short pants and black socks, and that one really did go viral. That was my first viral sensation with him. And this last one, it's kind of funny. You never know how it's going to go. And the vice president even retweeted it, called me a great American. So I thought that was pretty cool. I kind of got a kick out of that. I didn't brag about it. I didn't even know it. A buddy of mine sent it to me. I hadn't followed it enough, I guess. But it's on the Instagram. I am old. It's on, I'm going to the Walmart, but no, it's just everything. People have been contacting me all over the country, and I don't know. It's just, it's kind of crazy, but people are sick of it. This kind of thing, they get in your face and try to get you to say something that you wish you hadn't. And I don't know.
Yeah. NPR, PBS, onto, I guess, the news of the day. NPR, PBS, they got dragged in front of the House last week, and it was fun watching y'all beat the living crap out of them. Are we ever actually going to defund any of these things? I understand it's very popular to campaign on such things, but then, of course, GOP gets back there and doesn't actually do any of these things. Do you think we're actually going to get that done at some point in time?
I doubt it. I don't think we got the guts to do it. We're gutless. Republican Party's gutless, and they need to get some guts, and y'all need to start holding us accountable. Dadgummit. I told the speaker last week, look, all this going on, and we brought we got after some refrigeration rules is about all we passed. It was a Biden hoodoo this, and I didn't vote for it then, but I sure did. I didn't vote to kick more American businesses out under the auspices of environmental protection they outlawed certain kinds of refrigeration or something, and then and so what they do is they make environmental restrictions, and then of course our friends across the seas, they don't follow that same thing, and that's about all and so we allowed them to start making them back in this country again. But yeah, NPR and PBS, they're way out. They're so far to the left, but you got to realize we're just a small percentage of their funding. They're not. It's not a First Amendment issue. We're not saying they can't throw out this filth that they generate daily. It's that your tax dollars aren't going to pay for it. I go back to my first question. I asked them. I said, because I'd actually heard this. I'm not sure what had happened, if I was abducted by aliens or what, and they forced me to listen to NPR. But I was listening. I was pulling into my farm, and they asked this cat what they thought was propaganda, and they said, "God Bless the USA" by Lee Greenwood. And I was like, did I just hear that? And I remember I called Marjorie at that point, and I said, "You're not going to believe this." I said, "We got to get a hearing with these cats. This is pathetic." And and they would their response is the same thing, brother. They'd say, "Oh, that's not our official opinion. That just was a guest or one of our hosts' opinion." Well, who the hell's opinion is it then? I mean, if they'd have said something, could you imagine if they'd said something just incredibly racially insensitive and people would be outraged, which they should? They would immediately have come on the air and said, "Oh, that was that will never happen again. That person is out." And then Jim Jordan, good gosh, 83 people that worked up in their whatever, if you can imagine. I can't believe they have that many people for the crappy programming they got. But 83 people, and not one of them was a registered Republican. All 83 registered Democrats. And the guy that exposed it, he ended up losing his job and at NPR. So why in the world? And I asked them all my last question. I was out of time, but I wanted to say this. I said, would y'all approve of us if we funded Fox News or OAN or Newsmax if government did that? And they're like, no, 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 all four of them. And I thought that just pretty much said it all right there.
Yeah, it pretty much does. It pretty much does. By the way, speaking of being old, you mentioned your daughter. My sons told me about some movie that was coming out, and so I looked up a trailer for the movie on my phone. I called my boys over to look at the trailer, and they both put their hands on my shoulder like I was like a cancer patient who was dying, and they said, "Dad, that whole trailer is AI. None of it is real." Apparently, I got excited about a trailer. I don't understand anything anymore. I want to move to the mountains of East Tennessee, and I don't want to come back anymore.
Come on, brother. It's all a bunch of Yankees over there anyway. So, but what I love about them is that they're more conservative than I am. I go to this little thing down in Lenore City, and they call it whatever conservative club. I mean, I go in this little place. It's, it says clearly, no more than 50 people allowed in, by fire standards. And I think the last meeting we had over 200 people at this thing they invited me to speak at. I'm always afraid I'm getting set up by the NSA or something, because they always ask me some really conservative questions. And I'm like, whoa, where'd that come from, man? And that because they all have a northern accent. And the thing is that I dig about them is that they moved down here to get away from that nonsense, and they're the ones warning us about it infiltrating us. And they're right, it is, and we've got to be careful about that.
Yeah, I say all the time that the most hardcore anti-communists are the ones who live in these blue areas, and they're just about ready to pull all their freaking hair out. Okay, I can't let you go without asking you about the JFK files. All right, it's fun. It's funny to talk about. We all have theories. I certainly have mine. I've elaborated on it, but we didn't really get anything new, right? Some names, but there was nothing much.
Right. And what you got to worry about in those 70,000 files or whatever there are, I think they got files of, it's like Raiders of the Lost Ark, that the warehouse scenes. That's what we just got, these files stored in these places. I think what you're going to do is see people going down a bunch of different rabbit holes that have already been proven wrong, but were never released to the public. I don't believe we'll ever know, and I think anybody that really knows is probably dead.
Yeah, no, I figured
It's
that
about
probably
power.
died
It's
with
about
Lee Harvey.
control. It's about greed. It's what runs Washington, D.C.
No doubt. Tim, as always, I appreciate you very much, sir.
Brother, it's a pleasure. I hate to disappoint you on all that stuff, but no. When
I'd rather have
they show
honesty.
that,
I
the
appreciate
gun he
it.
used, I'll just give you one little thing. The gun he allegedly used, that magic bullet that transversed everyone and came out almost perfect, which is highly no way it could happen. They mushroom. That's why you have a lead bullet. But was a Russian carbine. It's called a Mannlicher carbine, and it was I have one, and it is the gun that's in the book. It was written up the only gun that never won a war. It was the crappiest firearm. And then they could have gone into a Western Auto and bought an M1 with a scope, and he would have had a much better firearm. It was a bolt action, and make those 3 shots, allegedly 3 shots, which just one bullet, I don't know. Anyway, and then the gun, you see the famous picture where they're holding the gun up. Heck, that was a Mauser, which is another gun you could have gotten very relatively cheap. But it's too much. There's too much.
Yeah. Congressman, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
You bet. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.